up on WMCT News, the latest update from Mayor Vigeant on COVID-19 in Marlborough and how 2 residents are using their talent to help protect healthcare workers. All that and more right here on WMCT News. Welcome back to WMCT News. I'm Megan Parsons. Marlborough saw a spike in coronavirus cases this week. The total number of cases in the city now at 53 as of yesterday. 2 of those patients have now fully recovered. On Wednesday, Mayor Vigeant, along with Public Health Director John Garside and Chief of Police David Georgie, addressed ways the city plans to contain the spread of the virus.
We wanted to actually do this out here and try to set an example for keeping people keeping their distance as we go through. But I did want to update on some of the things we've been doing in the city and some developments that have happened in the last 24 hours. First, I want to just go through some issues, and then I'm going to turn it over to John Garside. But so we extended the due dates for both the March and April water bills for 60 days. So if your due date was in March, it is now due the same day in May. And if it was due in April, it's due the same day in June. And I apologize for some for this late date on extending the excise tax and the water bills, but we're waiting for clarification from the state to determine what we could and couldn't do. We're also allowing all city residents to use the drop-off station down at the transfer station without a sticker for bagged yard waste and household trash and recycling down at the transfer station at 856 Boston Post Road. You do have to show your license and registration for the vehicle. They have to match, and they have to be Marlborough residents. And they will be open their normal business hours of 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Trash and recycling will continue to be on their regular schedules, and the springtime brush cleanup is going to be rescheduled, and we'll be coming out with more information on that in the next few days. We're anticipating to allow people to drop it off, but the actual pickup at the houses will be extended to a later date. The cafeteria staff up at the Marlborough Public Schools have done a tremendous job in getting out meals to most of our students and others in the community. To date, they've actually prepared and distributed over 26,000 meals to our residents. Today it was over 2,600 just today for breakfast and lunches. Starting next week, we're going to do a 3-day program where they'll still be delivering Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But on Monday, they'll be given 2 days of food, and on Wednesday, they'll be given 2 days of food also. So we'll be covering the entire week, but we'll be delivering 3 days a week. The Marlborough Senior Aid Program is still up and moving for anyone that needs meals or some other needed services for our senior population. The Marlborough Community Cupboard, a food pantry, is still open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 1. And Wednesday evenings from 5 to 7. And just want to let everyone know that they could always use some more donations. They're helping a lot of extra people these days. And again, they're doing a tremendous job. Although fully staffed, our Marlborough buildings, our City Hall and our Marlborough Public buildings are locked up to the public. But they are staffed, so if you have questions or you need some information from City Hall, please call the office and they'll still attend to you. Please visit marlborough-ma.gov. We do a daily COVID-19 update to provide information to everyone. If you have questions and you're not on the internet, please use our Marlborough Community Hotline at 508-251-5622. That's for general questions. It's not for emergencies. For emergencies, you still dial 911. Again, that Marlborough Community Hotline for questions is 508-251-5622. And I want to remind everyone they can pay some of their bills online or just drop them off in our drop-off box in front of City Hall and in the rear of City Hall. Lastly, I would want to tell everyone we sent out postcards to the entire city today just for important phone numbers to get them to people that may not have internet access or be watching these things on TV. So everyone in the city should be, all residents should be receiving a postcard. With that, obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to a family of one of our residents that passed away yesterday. Has not been confirmed that it was COVID. And with that, I want to turn it over to John Garside to update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, yesterday afternoon, we received notice that a 58-year-old male had passed, and the cause of death was determined by the medical examiner to be a sudden death in a person with influenza-like symptoms during COVID-19 pandemic. A manner of death was determined to be natural. Out of precautions, we have quarantined an individual associated with that death. The medical examiner is the one in charge of that investigation and has determined, and this information came from their office within the last hour. In addition to that, I'll just give another quick update if I might. We're seeing folks in their 20s and 30s in the city that are becoming positive with COVID-19. So like I think we've all heard, it's not just the elderly, the infirmed, immunocompromised, it's the young folks as well. So we've seen folks in their 20s and 30s in Marlborough are on the list now. For those of you who've been looking at our website, seeing our daily updates, I think last Friday we had 10 cases. We were up to 35 yesterday. By the end of the day today, we'll be over 50 is our sense. So we are in the middle of it, and we're still heading up that hill. Hopefully we'll be back next week saying we're heading the other direction, but we're certainly not there yet. That's all I have on that. And I will open it up to the chief, perhaps, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I can just speak to a little bit about changes we've made in the department as far as our protocols. We've made some changes in our response to calls, how the officers respond, different personal protective equipment they've used now, gloves, masks, and going to calls, how we answer calls. We have more phone response calls for the public. They can phone them in. We'll talk to them, trying to minimize exposure to the public unnecessarily. To speak a little bit about the incident yesterday on Broad Street, that came in as a 911 call from a family member to the police department. There was a bit of a language barrier at the time, so we had a hard time understanding exactly what was transpiring up there. Police, fire, and medical response were dispatched to the scene where they encountered the individual which had who passed, and from that, the officers made the necessary notifications. They called the medical examiner's office, they called the state police CPAC unit assigned to the district attorney's office, and they also contacted Mr. Garside's office to make them aware of it. From there, it's referred to the medical examiner's office, and they take jurisdiction from there. Any questions? Mayor?
Again, if you don't have to leave your home, please stay home. Keep your distance from others. If you feel sick, make sure you call your doctor or go to one of the Doctors Express or the UMass Express Medical Center down in the east side of town and stay safe. Try to keep your distance, and working together, we can get through this together. Questions? Yep.
Is the National Guard utilizing the Royal Plaza Trade Center?
At this point, I had communications with Director Phillips from MEMA yesterday about our hotels. We'll be working with her and her office to determine the uses. Right now, they have the conference center as a storage unit. It's simply storage at this point. Currently, just at 50. We're testing many more people, and the results, like I said, recently they started coming back in hours, within 24 hours, as opposed to originally the expedited results was 7 days, 7 to 10 days. So now they're getting them back right away. Anything else? Thank you very much.
A special delivery from Marlborough Public Schools to students and families in the community. MPS still serves students their school meals just a little differently now. I spoke with Finance and Operations Director Doug Diaz to learn more about the meal delivery program. School doors may be closed, but the kitchen, it's open for delivery. Marlborough Public Schools continues to serve families in the community breakfast and lunch. Marlborough Public Schools wanted to continue supporting families in the community, even if their doors were closed.
We partnered with North Reading Transportation to have buses available, and they would partner with our own food service employees, and we would create meals, and the buses would run their regular elementary routes to make sure that within the community we had food available to the families.
There's almost 60% free or reduced lunch participation in Marlborough schools, making school meals essential to some students.
We wanted to make sure that families who wouldn't have an option otherwise at least had this option available for them.
Breakfast deliveries start at 8:30 and lunch at 11:45. Buses travel their routes twice for each meal, so no one misses a pickup.
As of last Friday, we had served almost 19,000 meals.
And drivers say they serve more and more meals every day. These free meals are available to anyone under the age of 18.
There is no sign-up required at all. All you need to do is go to one of the bus stops, tell us how many meals you would like, and you will be served.
It takes almost 40 cafeteria employees to make these deliveries possible, and extra precautions go into preparing each meal.
As people come in, we ask about any symptoms, we check temperatures, and we also ensure that the working stations are within 6 feet of one another.
Meal deliveries will continue until school is back in session. That date now pushed back to May 4th. In Marlborough, Megan Parsons, WMCT News. As a reminder, starting April 6th, deliveries shift to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Students will be given 2 days' worth of meals Monday and Wednesday. Along with students, small business owners throughout the city are also trying to navigate this uncertain time. The date for restaurants to serve customers on site again now pushed back to May 4th. WMCT checked back in with Randy Scott, the owner of Main Street Cafe, to see how the state's restrictions have affected business.
Financially, there's absolutely no money in it for anybody. And the business itself is probably losing $600 to $800, maybe $1,000 a week. When this first happened, it was just a vacuum of knowledge. No, we didn't know what was going on. After about 3 or 4 days, the state got better about kind of telling us what was going on and what some of the restrictions meant. Local government and state government have really stepped up, I think, as far as getting the information to us. Some of the federal plans that are coming down with money availabilities for things like that to help keep us solvent. Through and after this thing to make sure that these businesses are still here when we're done. And then the city really stepped up. MEDC sends out notifications pretty much daily as to what's available to businesses, what we can expect. The mayor's office has done some things for us. We have a sign out front that just says, 15-minute parking in front of the restaurants for pickup only. And they've done that to a bunch of people just to help with us managing people coming in and out, making sure that people who want takeout didn't have to park down the street. It's just entirely different. Takeout used to be a sideline for us, and now that's all we do. But, if we have to ride it out for another month, we'll ride it out for another month, pick up the pieces when we get done.
It's a challenging time for all of us, especially healthcare workers. Many of those workers experiencing the shortage of protective wear firsthand. I spoke with 2 Marlborough residents using their sewing talents to make masks for those who need them the most. The coronavirus pandemic caused a major shortage of masks, protection essential to healthcare workers. 2 Marlborough residents among the many stepping up to help out. Using her sewing skills, Heather Crump started making protective masks.
There was not enough masks to go around for the healthcare workers. Those are the people that's supposed to help save us. how could I just sit there and not do anything?
Across town, Cora and Gerard doing the same thing.
It was a sort of a natural thing to think of when we heard of mask shortages, because it's definitely something we could easily do.
Their masks used as another layer of protection over N95 masks.
My mask can be washed, and they can just keep reusing theirs.
If making masks, officials recommend using a certain material.
They're recommending 100% cotton, double layer.
For those who can't sew, groups like Making Masks with Love accept donations of fabric and elastic.
And they're coordinating with tons of hospitals and facilities all around the Metro West area. So if anybody has any supplies, I'm sure they could really use them.
Crump says she sometimes spends 18 hours a day making masks. She's made more than 300.
I have bruises on the tips of my fingers from, sewing.
She's donated masks to local facilities in need. Gerard the same.
Detox facility that reached out to me and said, hey, we could use them. I just started sewing. I ended up being able to get them 50.
Originally from Louisiana, Crump sent some masks back home, but says Marlborough is her priority.
This is my community here, and I need to focus right here.
Both said they will continue sewing as long as supplies last. In Marlborough, Megan Parsons, WMCT News. And to end things on a brighter note, check out this house on Ridge Road. Lights, decorations, and a sign reminding Marlborough residents to stay strong through this tough time. That's all for this week. Be sure to tune in to stay up to date with all the latest happening in and around Marlborough, including the most recent updates on COVID-19. For WMCT News, I'm Megan Parsons.